if the United States withdraws its troops from the Korean peninsula? How will the situation between the DPRK and South Korea develop? Let's just say that without resorting to T-eggs. I really worry whether the South Korean military can flatten to the capital of the DPRK within a month. The DPRK is still the DPRK of decades ago, while the South Korean military now is no longer the South Korean military of decades ago. Now the South Korean military has long been highly Americanized, with technology leading the DPRK by decades. And its economic aggregate is 20 times that of the DPRK. The technological level between the two is very different, which is a definite dimensionality reduction strike. If the United States really leaves it alone, South Korea can really be like Xiaobogan and produce a large number of large T-eggs within a month. And both the quantity and quality will far exceed that of the DPRK. The technology of the DPRK and South Korea is really several generations apart, which is a complete suppression. After years of training by the United States, South Korea, like Xiaobo, Georgia, is the country that is most like the U.S. military. Whether it is the Navy, Air Force or Army, it can achieve 80% homology with the U.S. military. Everyone should not be deceived by the red lines and warnings of the DPRK. Barking dogs don't bite. And the barking dogs don't bite. You see, the mentor of the DPRK has already given us a sign. And always hangs the throwing of T-eggs on the mouth, which is just a joke. There are a basket of drawn red lines, but just dare not throw. The South Korean Navy has a large number of Aegis ships, and the level of Sejong the Great is between 05 to DN 055. While does the DPRK still have a navy? Just a few small boats, which will be wiped out in 3 days. The South Korean Air Force is equipped with 40 F-35s, 160 F-16s and 60 F-15s. KF-21 will probably also make South Korea the third country with its own real, fifth-generation fighter. And the Air Force of the DPRK is all decades-old Soviet-style fighter jets, which is simply not comparable. In terms of the Army, the DPRK can't get any advantage at all. In terms of military-industrial production, South Korea can sell 1,000 K2 tanks to Poland and produce hundreds of thousands of 155mm shells for the US. Well, what about the DPRK? Like the Russian army, upgrading weapons is nothing but upgrading the game and stacking materials. The core technology and framework are still those of decades ago. In the aspect of military equipment, it will take the DPRK 50 years to catch up. Now the only thing to worry about is the combat will of the South Korean military. It is said that these days the strong are afraid of the fierce, and the fierce are afraid of the desperate. But the DPRK and South Korea haven't fought a war for decades, and everyone is on the same level. Which is higher and which is lower still needs to be known after going through the moves. Now the US troops stationed in South Korea is actually to hold South Korea back and tell it not to be impulsive and just talk nicely.